Hey class, in this video we are going to publish our beautiful Choose Your Own Adventure website on GitHub. GitHub is just a publishing platform for code. It uses a versioning system called Git. We're not really going to get into the specifics of that, but we're just going to use the platform as a way to publish our website. It's free and it's pretty easy to use, so that'll be useful. And if you take more multimedia classes, maybe at some point you'll learn Git version software. But for now, let's just get to it. So here's my website. I've previewed it in Chrome locally on my computer. But as mentioned in the previous video, this is just a file. You can see it just says file right there. I can't share this with people. It's not on the internet. So if we want our website to be on the internet, we need to publish it somewhere. There's a lot of places to do that, but GitHub is a useful one. So I'm going to go over to github.com and I'll probably be logged in already. I already have an account, but you can just create an account. You just need an email, and you can use whatever email you want to use. Once you're logged in, you'll have a little account name, and you'll be able to create what's called a repository. A repository is basically just like a folder or a bucket for code. And so when you click create new, it's going to give you some options. We're going to create a new repository. And then you just have to give it a name. So for me, I'm just going to call this Web Spring 2025. You can't use spaces, but other than that, you can name it whatever you want. You could call it Choose Your Own Adventure Story. If you have a name for your project, you can use whatever. You can always change it if you want. And just make sure that you leave it as public. That's the only thing that you really need to check there. And then just click Create Repository. Okay, so we've created the repository. Now we need to upload our files, and then we need to publish it. So to add code to the project, when you're first getting started, you can click on Upload an existing file. So right here where it says Quick Setup, there's different ways to do this, but the easy way that we're going to use is just upload an existing file. I'm just going to click Upload, and then I can just drag and drop files from my computer directly into this interface. And what I want to do is I don't want to drag this web folder like that. You might do that just by default, but we don't want to do that. We want what we see at the web folder to match what we see here. So we want it to look like this. We don't want it to have a web folder. So I'm just going to drag index.html, and we'll see it show up right there. And then I'm just going to drag story. So make sure you set it up this way. You don't want to have a web folder inside of your project. It's going to make the website not work correctly. If you have any issues with that, let me know and we can fix it. But you're going to see there's 3 new files that we've added: index.html, story/animator.html, and story/coder.html. And then usually when we add files with Git and GitHub, it has this thing called the commit. This is basically like committing our project. We're saying this is a version of our project we want to exist. And usually we have to give a reason for that. We kind of give a message to say what reason it is that we're updating the project. So we're just going to say first website upload, and then click commit changes. And this will take a second. It's not a very big project, so there's not a lot here. There's a lot of different stuff you can do with GitHub. We're going to ignore most of it. But one of the things that you can see is that you can actually see the code here. And so this is also how we'll submit our work. Is you can just send me a link to this, and I'll be able to see the code that you wrote just by looking at these files. So you don't have to send me the files themselves. So we've got our code set up. So now we just want to publish it. So if we go over to settings and scroll down a little bit, there's a section called Pages. GitHub Pages is like a publishing service for the web. And there's a few different settings here. We're just going to go to Select Branch. So right here where it says None, select your main branch, and then just click Save. And this is going to trigger an action in GitHub to build your website. This may take like a minute or two, kind of depending, but if you go over to actions, you'll see this little guy going. And this will take a second. I'm going to pause while this goes and come back in a second. Okay, once you see that green check, that means it's done and it's ready. You're ready to view the website. If you don't see a green check, if you see issues there, let me know. We can go over it, but don't imagine that will be an issue for most of you. If we go back to settings and go back to pages, it's going to show us that link. So this is a public link that you can send to anybody in the world, and they'll be able to access your website. So if we click on there, it's going to go to that link, and there we go. We see our project. And that's basically it. If you make changes to the project, so like we're going to add CSS next week, you might notice that you have a typo or you want to add some more content. To make changes, we just upload our changed code and make a new commit. So I'll do a demo of that real quick. So let's imagine, we're working on our website and I want to fix something on the homepage, just as an example. So I'll add a little bit to this description. This is choose your own adventure story where you get to choose the outcome. Make sure you choose wisely. So just adding a little bit of content here. So we'll reload our main page just to make sure it looks good. And then if I want to update my website, I can go to GitHub and then I can just drag this index.html over here. And it's just going to notice these changes. And so it's going to say, commit the changes. I'm going to say updates index.html. So just a quick description of why you're making this change. And this is going to start processing your files. One of the cool things is that you'll be able to see the history of changes that you make. So you can see our first website upload here in the commit section, and you can see our next change here. And you can also see right here that it's currently building this change. So if I go to look at the public version of the site, I won't see anything. I won't see the change yet because that action is still going. So if I look at the action over here, it's still queued. It's not up yet. So just like it took a minute to publish the site originally, it's going to take a minute for the new version of the site to update. But it happens automatically. If you start an update and it doesn't work after like 5 minutes or 10 minutes or something like that, there might be an issue, and we could go over it. But most likely it'll just update. So that's basically it. When you've done all that, you can make a post for your weekly blog post and submit it on Brightspace. So let's do that now. Okay, so I'm over in Brightspace, and this is going to be for blog post 7. So I'm going to submit this, and we're going to make an OpenLab post like usual. Since we don't have like a piece of media to embed in the OpenLab post, to do the documentation, what I'm going to do is post a screenshot of the website. So I'm going to go back to GitHub, and I'm going to go to Pages and open up my website. And I'm just going to take a screenshot of this to post on the page. I might drag it out of here because there's not a lot going on here. So I might just make the website a little bit smaller. And then I can take a screenshot. I'm going to use the Xbox game bar to do this. So this is a good thing to know how to do if you want to do documentation on different projects. If you're on Windows, you should be able to do this. If you're on Mac, you can use an application called Screenshot to take a screenshot. I think I have some links. No, I don't. Okay. If you need help doing that, I'll help you with that, and I'll add a link later with some. There's a lot of YouTube videos that go over how to make screenshots. It's pretty straightforward. So anyway, I just want to make a screenshot of the web page. So on Windows, if I hit Windows and then G, the Windows key and then G, it brings up this program called the Xbox capture. I forget what the name of the program is. But you can capture images and audio and stuff like that through this program. I'm realizing now you don't actually see it in the OBS over. Okay, so I'll include a couple links to about how to make screenshots. But right now I'll just talk through what I'm doing. So I've got the Xbox game bar open. If I hit the little camera button under the capture section, this is just going to make an image of whatever window I had open when I opened the Xbox game bar. And then there's a button that says see my captures, and if I open that, I'll see that that image that I just took, and there's a little folder icon. If I click on that, it'll open up a window where I'll see that that file. So let's see if this is that image. Okay, so you can see the image here. And so I'm just gonna drag this image into my OpenLab post, and I can put this back up here. Okay, so I'll include a couple links on taking screenshots since you couldn't actually see what I was doing there. So I'm gonna go back to the OpenLab and make a new post. And for the category, I'm gonna choose website and weekly blog post. I'm gonna say my first website. And just like normal, we're just gonna add an image and then a quick description just for our weekly post. So I'm gonna drag this image over from captures. And then I'll write a quick description. So I made a choose your own adventure story using HTML and CSS. So just write a couple sentences about the idea for the story or anything else interesting about your project. And I'm just gonna have the one image. I don't need both, but then I wanna link out to the actual website. So I'm gonna say check it out here, and then I'll just grab a link to the published version of the website. So make sure it's not the file on your computer. Make sure that you can actually click on this link and see it. And then you can also say, here's my code. And so then we'll go to GitHub back here and paste that here. It's not actually code because it's just HTML, but that's okay. We're going to ignore that. So once you've got all that done, just click publish. And once that's done, you can just submit that on Brightspace. So there's no PSD, there's no Flash file or Animate file or Audacity file. There's no files at all for this one. It's just your GitHub link and then the published post. We're going to copy this. We're going to go to Brightspace, and we're going to throw this link in there. And that's going to be it. So if you have any questions about that process or anything else with HTML or the web, let me know and we can go over it on email or office hours, whichever works better. And I'll see you guys next week. We'll add some CSS and make the website look a little bit more interesting.